From the World Center of Racing, it's the opening round of the 2019 American Flat Track Championship, the Daytona TT, presented by Russ Brown Motorcycle Attorneys.
Hello everyone, Jason Wygant here on NBCSN. Now, the opening round of any championship campaign is hard to predict, but nothing could ever be wilder than this. We're gonna run the dirt track bikes on the pavement for the first time since 1960, since they built Daytona International Speedway, but we'll do it on the most familiar piece of pavement in all of racing, the front stretch and the start-finish line for Daytona International Speedway. Not a single rider in American Flat Track has ever raced on a track quite like this.
Flat track motorcycle racing. Just to recall what it was like in the beginning, let us take a quick look back
at the turn of the century.
It takes stout lads like them to go for this kind of competition. It's trials like this that have made the two-wheel little giant the tough piece of mechanism it is today. Take a look at this motorcycle.
Each of today's races draws large crowds from all over the country.
It's a revolution.
Testing and bettering, testing and perfecting. Right on, cowboy.
The wave of the future.
You got a good start anyway.
Yeah, and we'll see how hot I was the whole time.
Every chance I get to race now, I enjoy it.
What will you do? How hard are you willing to go? Will you let fear win? Or will you rise?
Big one for Jared Mees.
And find victory.
Shayna Hexter takes the win.
It changes the way we look at racing.
And what an amazing race we have lined up for our season opener at Daytona. Jared Mees, the one they're all gunning for, five-time champ, and he's won the last two titles straight. But JD Beach, gonna try to make a championship run. The road racer has got a brand new Yamaha this year, and he's always fast on this track. Briar Bauman, now a factory Indian rider, a contender as well. In the singles division, Dan Bromley, last year's champ, a new factory ride with Red Bull KTM, and a revamped program for Ryan Wells, former series champ. He'll be a contender also. New addition to our show this year, our analyst, AJ Allmendinger. AJ, the truth is finally out. You race cars for a living, but you love motorcycles.
I have always loved motorcycle racing. I'm pumped to be a part of American Flat Track Racing.
It's going to be an awesome season. Glad to have you aboard. And also a new addition to our show, our reporter, Kristen Beat. Here's an update from the racetrack.
Thanks, Jason. 2019 is a year of change for Shayna Texter. When I spoke with her earlier in the day, she told me she started training with Alden Baker. Now, Alden is an elite motocross trainer. He's worked with riders like Ricky Carmichael and Ryan Dungey. She told me she's been training with him down in Florida. They've been working on jumping. They've been working on cornering. They've been working on front braking. And because of that, she feels more confident than she's ever felt. The question is, will all that off-season training and preparation propel her towards success here at Daytona? Will she be able to start collecting points in these TT races and be a part of the championship conversation throughout the year? On the flip side, Jared Mees in the twins class, a rider who has proven himself to be versatile. He told me yesterday that he hit a Grand Slam in 2018. He won on all 4 track categories. He told me he prepares the same way for every race. Now, AJ, I know you were able to take a look at the track yesterday as well.
Yeah, Kristen, AFT allowed us all to walk the racetrack, walking it with the riders. This is going to be a tough, challenging racetrack that's going to make the riders kind of have to figure out which direction they want to take their bike setups. Going into turn 1 here, it's tight. A couple of tight left-handers. Looking at the starting line here, rider's going to have to get a good start. The left-hander leading onto the front straightaway is going to narrow up at apex. This is going to create a lot of opportunities for mistakes and a lot of bar banging on the start. Down the tri-oval here, carrying a ton of speed into turn 1. Rider's going to be hard on the brakes, getting the bike stopped to hold the apex at turn 1. Little quick right-hander here, leading to the jump. A right-left chicane. Jason, these riders are facing a lot of tough challenges on this racetrack, a bit different than last year.
Yeah, and the entire field looks different this year as well. Let's get an update from the voice of Flat Track, Scotty Dubler.
Talk about a crazy offseason. Let's start with the basics. Indian Motorcycle has kept the champ and #1 plate, Jared Mees, right where he is. Pretty smart, considering he's been dominant to say the least. But the shakeup on the team comes with the addition of the Bauman brothers. First, they shared the podium at the Williams Grove Half Mile, and now find themselves sharing resources as part of the factory Indian team. And don't forget the wizard, Jeffrey Carver. This Roof Systems Indian motorcycle rider is one of a handful of riders slotted to threaten Jared Mees' drive for a three-peat championship. Now to Brian Smith. The Mile Master moves from Indian Motorcycle back to his roots with the Crosley-Howerton team and seems to be in great shape to challenge Meese for another AFT Twins championship. Estenson Racing also finds themselves in competitive position within AFT Twins. Colby Carlisle makes the move from single to twins, joining veteran Jake Johnson and road race champ JD Beach on the brand new Yamahas. Finally, the factory Harley-Davidson team. This powerhouse will be boasting a promising lineup by bringing back Sammy Halbert and Jared Vanderkoy as they aim to bring the Harley to the front in 2019. Get all that? Good. You're not going to want to miss a second.
Well, last year's race was good down to the final second. Jared Meese leading and JD Beach on the 95, keeping the heat on all the way down to the line. Almost gets the win. And this year, Beach might be even better. Estenson Yamaha, a brand new bike. He's got a bigger focus on flat track. Here he is with Kristen.
JD Beach piloting the Estenson Racing Yamaha. Now, JD, Yamaha actually produced this bike just for this series, the MT-07 DT. What do you kind of make of that bike?
Yeah, it's been great. I've kind of known about it for a while, and so far it's been a great bike. We definitely have some stuff that we need to make better, but the great thing about it is every time we get on it, it does get better. We have a really good team around us and keep making the bike better.
Jared Meese, how do you challenge a rider, and how do you prepare yourself to race such a dominant rider in this series?
We're just gonna have to go out and beat him. I mean, he's won, I'd say, probably over half the races in the last 2 seasons, and he's really fast. And since I haven't been doing a lot of races until now, I mean, I've watched every single race, and I know how Jared rides and how he passes and watching what he does. But I mean, there's a lot of fast guys out there, so it should be a really good race tonight.
Thank you so much, JD, and best of luck tonight. JD Beach finished second here in Daytona in 2018. He's looking to carry that momentum forward tonight.
So here are our storylines from qualifying in AFT Twins. Briar Bauman way wide in turn 1.
Yeah, Jason, we're going to see this all night. The riders trying to get the bike stopped into turn 1, carrying a ton of speed. They're going to get wide.
Henry Wiles, a TT specialist, takes the win in Heat 1. And here's the battle we were waiting for in Heat 2, and this time JD Beach takes the measure of Jared Meese.
Anytime you can beat Jared Meese, heat race, semi, or main event, it just gives you a lot of confidence.
And he does hold off Meese by about half a bike length. So Beach is looking good right now, but all the riders in AFT have to go from heats into semis. And it's Briar Bauman getting out front early, and disaster for Beach as he goes down early.
You can see JD get in there, grab a handful of front brake, tucks the nose, crashes out, doesn't make the main.
Right behind Briar, and we always kind of slow down a little bit more than I thought, and just got on the front brakes a little bit too much and made a mistake, but try and come back out next weekend.
Huge shocker for one of the favorites to not qualify for the main event. And meanwhile, Bauman, full-time ride now with the factory Indian team, and he's making that bike look good. He absolutely dominates over Jake Johnson, setting himself up as a favorite in the main. And then Semi 2, a rare unforced error for Jared Meese.
Jared hits the hole, loses the front tire. He goes down hard.
But he catches a break as he's scrambling back to his motorcycle. There's another crash. Davis Fisher goes down hard. It brings out the wheeling caution lights, and it will lead to a complete restart, which gives Mee's crew time to check the motorcycle. And because he didn't cause the restart, he gets his position on the front of the starting grid back. Now Robert Pierce on the 27 appears to jump early, but he comes to a complete stop. So that start is legal, but it does throw off the timing of Mees, who ends up way in the back.
Yeah, last lap, last corner here, Jared Meese trying to get under Cale Kolkman, gets in the side of him, he goes down again, but fortunate enough to get back up and still transfer into the main event.
But a wild scramble. Look, this is not pretty, but he just is able to sneak it into the main. You very rarely see these types of errors for the always consistent champion, Jared Meese. Meanwhile, Wiles, a TT specialist, wins that one with ease. So it's been pretty unpredictable what we've seen in qualifying in the Twins division, with Jared Meese going down twice. And we're going to re-rack it with the superstars of our singles class. You think the Twins is unpredictable? Well, this class is really wide open, and we'll cover it when we return from Daytona. American Flat Track on NBCSN is brought to you by Russ Brown Motorcycle Attorneys. If you go down, call Russ Brown. By Roof Systems of Dallas, Texas, the entitlement sponsor of AFT Singles. By American Flat Tracker Clothing Company. Find your groove at AmericanFlatTracker.com. Well, they have to work around the clock here during Daytona Bike Week to transfer a Supercross track into this Daytona TT course, just under a half mile in length. And it's a very unique jump in the center. That's what classifies it as a TT, different than our normal events, majority of them being flat ovals. Let's transition to our singles class, AJ.
Yeah, the AFT singles class, production-based 400cc motorcycles with upwards of 60 horsepower. The biggest differences between twins and singles is the weight. A much lighter bike allows the riders to really throw the bike around. There's going to be a ton of crazy racing in this series, Jason.
Yeah, last year was wild, and we think this year could be even more wide open. Let's give you a primer with the voice of Flat Track, Scotty Dubler.
The singles class is shaping up to be quite a ride in 2019. To start, Richie Morris Racing has introduced a potent lineup with Cameron Smith and Mikey Rush, both on the RMR Honda racing machines. Sandriana Shipman, also on the Honda, looks for a big rebound this year. Look out, as she's determined to be a force to be reckoned with. Just like in AFT Twins, Estenson Racing brings a loaded lineup to AFT Singles. Ryan Wells and Dallas Daniels look to bring Tim Estenson a few podiums and maybe another championship. And how about some privateers? Chad Coast on a Suzuki and James Rasroli on a Kawasaki both make strong cases to be favorites for wins and podiums. Still keeping up? Well, you're going to want to listen to this one. The Red Bull KTM Roof Systems of Dallas factory team has announced both Shayna Texter and last year's champion Dan Bromley will ride their machines this season. The AFT singles class is shaping up to make a lot of noise.
And more volume here on the TT circuits. We'll have some veteran motocross talent, Ryan Sipes and the ageless Jeff Ward in competition. And that includes, of course, this Daytona TT. Let's get their thoughts.
One of my advantages, and a motocrosser in general advantage to these races, is knowing how to use the front brake and being really comfortable with it. Having that, I think, helps. And then the jump, you know, it's super simple, but being able to, you know, maybe stay a little bit lower off of it, I think helps.
My brain's telling me to go deeper, but the bike won't, so I'm having to remember to keep backing it up a little bit, and then I forget and go in hard and not make the corner. So it's just something I'm kind of learning right now, but that's probably the most difficult one, is getting that thing slowed down for the dirt. This is something that's fun, and physically I think I can, you know, handle it. I don't think I'm where I was, you know, 10, 15 years ago, but I just want to have some fun and hang out and help grow the sport. The sport's taken off, and I got some good friends that race in it, and it was something kind of on the bucket list. I wanted to do Peoria back when I was doing Supermoto. Just never got the chance, so now I get to go back and at least run that track and say at least I ran.
And I've raced off-road and motocross, supercross, all those things into one. This is like the final piece of, I'd never done any flat track, you know, before last year, so I'm having a ball with it. This track out here is amazing. I was just laughing the whole time. I was having so much fun.
And a lot of fun over here, too. A new factory squad, Red Bull KTM. There's a team manager, Chris Fillmore. You've got Shayna Texter and last year's champion, Dan Bromley, on board. This is big for American Flat Track. She pulled away. Listen to the crowd. Shayna Texter takes the win.
Give it up for Dan Bromley, your 2018 American Flat Track Singles Champion.
Red Bull KTM Roof Systems of Dallas factory team has announced both Shayna Texter and last year's champion Dan Bromley will ride their machines this season.
With KTM coming on board full-time, I had the opportunity to go out and test and do the different things that I didn't have the opportunity last year to do.
It's honestly a dream come true to be riding for the Red Bull KTM Roof Systems team. All the knowledge that they have, and to now have them in my corner, I think we're 110% ready to attack this. Having Dan as my teammate, I think, you know, we're the tallest and the shortest teammates together, so we couldn't be any more opposites. But, you know, Dan and I, we go back for a very long time, you know, since we were young kids racing together, 4 years old. So to now have a fellow Pennsylvanian in my corner and somebody that I respect, it's awesome.
I know that we are definitely the favorite, being the only full factory team, and I think we can just, on the bikes, work together to make them work better, and overall to make her ride harder and me ride harder. And at the end of the day, we are teammates in the sense that we are on the same bikes, but I know when we're on the track, we're two separate riders, and we're both going to be going for that #1 place.
The goal for 2019, 100%, is to win the championship. You know, I've been so close the past couple years. I'm ready to get over the hump and get it done, and that's my main focus: win races, podiums, and get that #1 plate at the end of the year.
For us, I know I have to be cautious, and I have to be upfront, and I have to do what I have to do at every race.
Let's check out our Roof Systems of Dallas, Texas AFT singles storylines, and we'll start with Shayna Texter in qualifying.
Yeah, Jason, a huge disappointment. The off-season work she put in to not even make it to the semis, struggled all day.
Didn't have the speed to make the cut out of the heat. Meanwhile, the Englishman Oliver Brindley wins his heat race, establishing himself as a player. A unique track here, so you really never know what you're going to get. Although when you're on a TT, you can pretty much count on Jesse Janisch being fast. He wins his heat. And in a big battle between Ryan Sipes and last year's champ Dan Bromley, look at them go at it in heat race number 3. Bromley just able to get the edge. So Bromley, who was so consistent on all 4 types of racetracks last year, shows he still has it in 2019. Jacob Lehman goes on to win heat 4 over the 57-year-old Jeff Ward. Then we transfer into the semis. Brindley and Janisch having a battle, and in the last turn, Brindley goes down.
Yeah, Brindley battling for the win there. He will have to use the provisional tonight to get in the starting lineup.
As Janisch goes on to take the win in the semi, just like he did in the heat. And by the way, he was second in the main event at this track last year, so he's very comfortable on this circuit. We go on to semi number 2. Dalton Gauthier, welcome back to AFT. He won this race in 2017 and then did not race for nearly 2 years. And in his return, he wins the semi, showing he has not lost a lot of speed during that time. So now our riders have gathered for our first AFT singles main event of the year. Let's send it back to Kristen Beat.
Today in the singles class, the American Flat Track Series has seen 5 foreign countries enter in this race. One of those entries is Ferran Cardús from Barcelona, Spain, and he qualified into this main event on Brad Baker's 2017 Honda. Now you may notice if you look closely at the right side of the handlebars, his grip is modified. That's because he broke his right pinky 2 weeks ago. He underwent surgery. They inserted a rod. He said he should be all right, but a slight obstacle for the international rider looking to contend for the entirety of the 2019 season.
Well, that's going to hurt, but he's been fast every time he's been on the track, so maybe it won't matter. And there's Dan Bromley. He won this race a year ago, and that kick-started a championship run. Dalton Gauthier, the comeback kid. Great to see him back on the grid for AFT. And there's Jesse Janisch. He won his heat and his semi.
Jesse always fast on the TTs. Won Peoria, finished second last year at Daytona.
Here's our Russ Brown Motorcycle Attorneys starting lineup. Janisch has the #1 spot. Sipes a bad finish in his semi 10th, and Brindley, because he had to take that provisional, is 17th out of 17, picking his start as we're on the line. So Janisch and Gauthier, could it be a slugfest between those two? They've been quick all day. Tracks probably changed, though, quite a bit. Let's get ready for our first main event of the season in American Flat Track. Gauthier banging bars with Max Whale on the 18. And Janisch going to try to use that inside start. He gets past both of them to move into the #1 position. We're off and running. Who's going to make this corner? It looks like Gauthier retakes the lead.
Late on the brakes, Gauthier round the outside, back to the lead.
He is back in a big way. Hasn't raced in 2 years and immediately grabs the #1 spot. But Janisch not messing around, goes from outside to inside.
Janisch tucking it tight in the last corner, trying to get the drive back up onto the straightaway here. Who's going to take it into turn 1? Janisch to the lead.
Wow, a power move on the asphalt. And remember, we have not had pavement on an AFT track in over 60 years, so no one knew exactly how it would play out. On the first lap, at least, the advantage goes to Janisch.
Bromley into turn 1 there, throws it in deep to get into third, trying to chase down the 2 leaders.
Oh, a huge crash. That is Rispoli, the road racer, who is definitely well adept at flat track as well, but he has gone down hard. But I do not see the wheel and caution lights on, so we're going to keep on racing. Gauthier versus Janisch, and Bromley, as you mentioned, sliding into third.
Janisch just tucking it tight. He's so smooth on the throttle, getting good drive on the exit. Gauthier is going to try to hook onto his rear tire, see if he can pull him along, learn some stuff, find some speed.
Oh, this is a good battle between these two as Mikey Rush, the number 15, the Richie Morris Racing Honda, up to 4th. We can see the crash here of the 71 of Rispoli.
It's a little bit of elbow. Front tire goes down, big wreck. Luckily, seems like he gets up and is okay.
Here's a second look at it. The camera on the back of Sipes' bike. Look at the right side of the screen, the green 71 of Rispoli. A little bit of contact there. Janish pulling away a bit now from Gautier. Mikey Rush, 4th place on the Richie Morris Racing Honda, could be one to watch. He has caught Bromley in a battle for 3rd. Is Janish trying to get away here, AJ?
He's been doing it all day and all night. Just been very smooth. It's been hard for guys consistently to run with him.
Bromley keeping it close with Gautier in 2nd and 3rd. There's Rush, the number 15. Rush is always quick here at Daytona. Jake Lewis, who was very fast here last year but had an early race crash, slow him up. Now a bad start. He's on the 85, and here's Brindley working his way through traffic.
Already up 8 spots from where he started, dead last in the field, inside the top 10.
Maxwell, the Australian, trying to cling to a top 5. Remember, he was battling into turn 1 to get the lead. Not so good right now as he's just trying to hold off the number 14 of Lehman.
Janish, known for that little low front tire dip over the jump, carrying a ton of speed. Each lap pulling a couple of tenths on 2nd and 3rd.
And there's Bromley. The podiums are really the story for him last year. And he's doing it again right now in 3rd. He's got to hold off Rush. See if Bromley puts a charge to try to go after the leaders. Or is last year's champ going to play the consistency card? We're just getting started here at the Daytona TT with Jesse Janish out front. Racing action continues from Daytona, American Flat Track Singles Class, and pulling away in the main event, Jesse Janish. Here's an update on the 132.
Jesse Janish looks smaller than he did in 2018. That's because he lost 25 pounds. He moved down to Dallas, Texas, and told me he started a new training program focused on running. The 25 pounds he lost is making a big difference on the bike.
Talking to a lot of these riders in both classes, they really talked about how they worked on their fitness in the offseason, training, what they ate, knowing how competitive American flat track racing has become. Anything they do to make themselves better on or off the bike is key.
And you can see how close it is there, AJ, between 3rd, 4th, 5th. Bromley, Rush, and Whale all fighting for that final podium spot, looking for any edge, as you mentioned, they can get. Let's get another update from Kristen.
Thanks, Jason. Earlier in the day when I was talking with Ryan Sipes, he told me that he didn't bring enough gearing to this race. His gearing was way too short, so they were looking to see if they could expand that gearing by borrowing gearing from some of their teammates. He also told me that some other riders in the garage offered a better right front brake for him, so they changed that. The rider that offered that right front brake was Jeff Ward.
Yeah, a little camaraderie between the ex-motocross racers. Sipes had a stock front brake on his bike, and he didn't realize the pavement would be that much more taxing on the brakes. It was fading. Ward hooked him up with a better setup, but the bad news for Sipes, a bad start. He's just trying to get in the top 10. Mikey Rush not letting Bromley go.
You can see Mikey Rush there trying to get the power down out of the corner. This is what's a challenge for these riders right now. The track has gotten dry slick. It's hard to get the rear tire to find any type of grip and power up onto these straightaways or off the corners.
Rush was actually battling up front in our twins class here 2 years ago, so he is comfortable on any type of bike on this Daytona TT track. He wants to end it up on the podium. 2 to go. Janish trying to finally get that Daytona TT victory. Finished 2nd last year. All he's got to do is keep it up on 2 wheels, AJ. He has run a perfect race so far.
Been perfect all day, and this is what it's about. To go win at Daytona, the prestige of it, but more importantly, you win the first race, it kicks off your championship, and it lets everybody else in the series know, hey, I'm the guy to beat.
So the white flag now out. Janish trying to bring it home. Bromley trying to hold off Rush and Whale to take that final podium spot. And in between them is Gautier. Man, Rush is not giving up on this.
Janish here through the chicane. 1 corner to go to collect the victory.
So the 31-year-old gonna leave him behind tonight. 2nd last year. This time he's gonna be out front on his Yamaha. Jesse Janish wins the Daytona TT in the singles class. And Dalton Gautier, welcome back to racing. After the violation of a substance abuse policy, had to complete the Road to Recovery program. He is now back as if he hadn't missed a beat. Solid performance and a runner-up ride. And Bromley holds off Mikey Rush to take third. That man is all about podiums. He's done it again. Brindley from way back to 9th. Sipes didn't get the start he wanted. He ends up 10th ahead of Wells. And the riders have gathered on the podium. So Kristen Beat is headed there to talk to our winner.
Jesse Janis taking the first win of the 2019 season in the singles class with a wheelie over the finish. Now, I just asked you, did you really wheelie over the finish? And you said, I don't care about rules.
Absolutely. Man, it's not every day you get to win in Daytona, especially amazing stadium, great race. That was awesome. Got off to an okay start. I think Dalton had the whole shot, but everybody kind of blew a little wide in the first turn. Made a move on Dalton a little early and just tried to run a smooth race. It was a really tricky track. To work so hard, just the roof systems team's been behind me. We've been working so hard this winter, trying to get everything ready. Olin's suspension coming on board. Just everybody. It was a huge victory for us, the team. We're off to a good start. Trying to make sure that we stay up here a lot this year, I'm hoping.
We'll see how he does on the ovals later in the year. Gautier on the D&D Cycles, flattrack.com. KTM is second, and the Red Bull KTM of Bromley third. And we get ready to transition from singles to twins. And one of the hot topics, Briar Bauman. He's won races before, but a full-time ride with the Factory Indian team. We'll see his motivation for 2019. American Flat Track on NBCSN is brought to you by Indian Motorcycle. Be legendary. By Vance & Hines, the presenting sponsor of AFT Twins. By American Flat Tracker Clothing Company. Find your groove at AmericanFlatTracker.com. Time for Dunlop Tire Talk here from American Flat Track. Now, throwing a paved section onto the course meant everyone was wondering how the tires would hold up. Well, the Dunlop tires have held up very well. In fact, all the riders have actually picked the softer R5 compound because tire wear has turned out to not be a factor at all. So, tire's going to be equal with everyone picking the same compound, but we will see how it plays out now that we've brought the lights up, and we're going to run more laps in our main event, the Twins class, coming up right now. So the riders have gathered on the starting line for that. It's the Daytona TT presented by Russ Brown Motorcycle Attorneys. See the number 14's got the top spot on the grid, Briar Bauman. Here's an update from Kristen.
Thanks, Jason. Just a moment ago, I caught up with Briar Bauman. He was showing off something on the back of his helmet. It says Godspeed Scuba. He told me a family friend that passed away is with him tonight, and that's kind of giving him a little bit of extra motivation. I also asked him how he's been able to maintain such consistency on such an inconsistent track throughout the night. He told me he's just been really conscious of his marks and his braking points. He also said that having a great team like Indian behind him is certainly providing him all of the confidence that he needs to take this pole into victory lane.
Well, he looks strong, but there are so many riders and so many capable machines as we begin this 2019 season in the Twins class. We'll see if Bauman can hold up under the pressure as the main event looms. One race remains in our season opener for American Flat Track, and it's the big one, our main event in the Twins division. And so unique, this TT track, especially because we're running the paved front stretch at Daytona for the first time. There's your lineup. Briar Bauman, Henry Wiles won the semis. They have the good grid positions. Jared Vanderkoy on the factory Harley had to take a provisional. He's going to start in the back, and Jared Mees as well.
Can he rebound? We never see Jared Mees go down. He went down twice in the semis.
And 14th on the grid. He's going to have to do a lot of work to move forward. You don't even see the number one here. Watch out for Jake Johnson on that Estenson Yamaha. He won one of our TT events at Sturgis last year. Now, Brian Smith, more of a master of the big mile tracks. He just wants points tonight on that Crosley machine. There is Mees with Brandon Price, a rookie in the Twins division. Can he work his way forward? It's all on the line right now because the Daytona TT is about to get underway, and with it, the 2019 season. And a good jump by Bronson Bauman on the 37. Can he make the outside line work? He's battling with his brother for the number one spot. And I think Briar is able to control it on the 14.
Hard on the brake zone. Bronson to the lead. Jake Johnson wide into turn 1, back to third.
Yeah, so that number 5 is right there. So I thought Breyer was going to take it away from Bronson. No, Bronson Bauman in control. A great jump right through here off the line. And he leads his brother with Johnson. And now Henry Wiles hard and fast into the number 4 spot. Where is Mies? 7th place already for the number 1, so pretty good for the 14th position on the line as the brothers on the Factory Indians duke it out.
Breyer to the lead. This is what the rest of the field doesn't want to see. Breyer Bauman to the lead. He's been consistently 3 to 4 tenths faster a lap all night.
Yes, can he replicate that in the main event? Maybe, as he's starting to draw away from his younger brother. Now Johnson on the Estenson Yamaha under pressure from Wiles, and Colby Carlisle, another rookie, champion of the singles class 2 years ago, making his twins full-time season debut this year. He's 5th. There is Mies working his way forward.
Jake Johnson here into turn 1,
Oh.
way too deep. You can hear the rear tire bouncing, locked up. Henry Wiles gets by him up to P3.
All right, this is critical for Wiles, who's always fast on the TTs. Can he catch back up to the Bauman brothers and make a race of it up front now that he's cleared Johnson? And then Brian Smith on the number 4. He admits TTs are not his specialty, but he's running really well right now in 6th. Bronson and Breyer running still in close formation. Breyer a little bit of an advantage now.
Talking to Bronson earlier about the Factory Indian team, he's not feeling more pressure than he's ever felt. He's putting it on himself. This is a great start to the season, running in 2nd right behind his brother.
Yes, and I talked to Breyer, his brother, about the same thing, and he said he rides better when he was relaxed and having fun, so he doesn't want to think of this as a high-pressure factory ride situation. He's trying to keep it loose. It's working right now, but Henry Wiles trying to spoil the brothers' party up front.
Bronson Bauman late on the brakes into turn 1, holding off Henry Wiles.
Oh, here comes Mies, finding an inside line on his old rival Smith, and he made quick work to move into 6th. It's our SNS Cycles onboard. Mies doing what he does, even when dealt a bad hand. Gonna make up some points.
We can see this up from 14th to 6th. Jared Mies is on a mission, charging to the front.
If he can even get it near that podium, that would be amazing considering all the problems he has had. Smith's gonna wait for a rematch on another day. He, again, is not a specialist on these TT tracks. Wiles, now he is all over Bronson Bauman to try to take 2nd away on that number 17.
Henry Wiles trying to work that outside line, tuck it under Bronson Bauman. He's starting to panic. He sees Breyer riding away from him. He's got to get around Bronson now.
Yeah, I've got to figure that he's getting desperate, looking for running room against Bronson. Can't find it. Wiles might be the one rider with the pace to run with Breyer Bauman up front, but he's got to clear his brother first. The Factory Indians are 1-2. The privately backed Indian of Wiles is 3rd with the Yamaha Estenson Racing Machine in 4th. Nice try by Wiles going from outside to inside.
Can't get it done. Trying to outbrake Bronson Bauman into turn 1 is a difficult challenge. See if he can do it here. No. Bronson late on the brakes again.
And there it is, another shot of the inside. I thought Bronson went too far outside, but he's just able to hold on to it.
Don't forget about Jake Johnson. He's sitting right back there in 4th, waiting for both these riders to make a mistake. We see Breyer Bauman there just riding out of view, riding away.
Wiles gonna try the outside to inside again, onto the front stretch. A little bit closer, not close enough.
You can see Bronson Bauman there. He's got good drive off that last corner.
Can he get back into the braking zone here? Actually, looks like he took it a little bit slower this time to ensure he had the line. So Wiles gonna try something else. Still can't make it work. Man, Wiles has tried everything, getting more and more desperate with each corner.
You can see Henry Wiles there sliding the bike a lot. Ooh, Bronson gives him a bit of an elbow there. Not giving up the spot easy.
And that's the opening that Jake Johnson on that number 5 was looking for. Allows him to get closer. If Wiles gets too far outside, risking one of these passes, Johnson's gonna stick it in, try to take the podium away.
The frustration is building for Wiles. Every lap, Breyer Bauman rides away from him.
And Mies, oh, another quick pass, this time on Colby Carlisle, your former champion of the singles division. So Mies, through all the drama throughout the day, the number 1 is up to the number 5 spot. And you can see the kind of progress he has made. A phenomenal ride for him.
This is what the field doesn't want to see. Jared Mees, a tough day. Oh, here we see Wiles into turn 1.
Oh, and he brought it in hot. Can he hold it? Bronson Bauman tries to come back. They almost collide. And this time, he's going to lock down the second place spot.
Henry Wiles, 5.5 seconds behind our leader, Briar Bauman. He's got to get going, 14 laps to go.
Well, Wiles so good on the TTs. He's won the Peoria race year after year after year. He's been on the podium at Daytona quite a bit. Oh, no! Jared Mees, what has happened? Is that a crash or a bike problem? He's looking at the motorcycle. Got to think it's a mechanical issue. All the work he did on a comeback run, it's over for the champ.
We see Jared Mees pushing his bike away here. The replay rolls in through the chicane into the last corner. Looks smooth. And all of a sudden, you can see fluid coming out of the bike there on the bottom right. Jason, the luck has run out for Jared Mees.
Yeah, he was able to patch it together so well in qualifying with some crashes, some timely restarts, work his way forward in the main. Got the onboard here on Mees. Maybe we can hear it. And there you hear it. It just died. Out of power. Wow, so all the trauma that bike went through in qualifying with a couple of crashes, maybe that all added up. No problems for this Indian. Briar Bauman just continuing to stretch his lead now over second place Henry Wiles. So what a storyline for Briar Bauman, who has been training under the guidance of Mees the last couple of years. Now he could potentially be the points leader and the man to beat as Mees is out and he's leading the way. Disappointment for your two-time winner of this race. Out of the race, Jared Mees, and we'll talk to him next. Massive shakeup in American Flat Track just before we went to break. Defending series champion, defending race winner, Jared Mees out with mechanical problems. Meanwhile, Jared Vanderkoy in the factory Harley from last on the grid up to the top 5 of the number 20. Meanwhile, let's go back to Kristen.
Thanks, Jason. Unfortunate circumstances tonight for Jared Mees. Jared, as you continue to watch this main event, during that race we saw fluid actually being expelled from your bike. What happened mechanically out there?
Yeah, I borrowed the ankle, we tried to shot and it went on.
Obviously you're disappointed, but how do you rebound? What happens between now and Atlanta?
Just put in the work.
Thank you so much.
Well, obvious disappointment for maybe the most competitive man in this paddock, and he's got to dig himself out of a hole now.
Yeah, Jared Mees not used to standing there watching the race. On board here, Jake Johnson, the Yamaha on board, running third in the podium position right now, trying to chase down Henry Wiles for that second position.
A lot of buzz about this brand new motorcycle, the MT-07 DT. Did some development there at Yamaha in California, and then Tim Estenson and his crew in Phoenix also contributing quite a bit, and to put that machine on the box in its debut, that would be very impressive. And the capable hands of Jake Johnson. So now it's a scramble. Who can grab some bonus points with Mees in the back? It looks like the max might go to the 14 of Bauman, who's deep into lap traffic. But you got to look at a lot of these guys. Maybe Brian Smith. If he can just score solid points tonight, he's in the top 5 right now. Big advantage over Mees as well. Well, Lapper's not making it easy on Bauman.
Briar Bauman just lapping guys at will right now. He is lapped up to 9th place, up to 8th place. He is so fast.
Well, how difficult is that to find the race line while you're weaving through traffic?
It's a difficult challenge, but when you got a big lead like Briar Bauman has right now, you can kind of be a little, take your time with it, be easy. If Henry Wiles was right on him, he'd have to be very aggressive, maybe take chances he didn't want to take.
And Wiles dealing with the same situation. He is deep into lap traffic as well on the 17. It comes off the pavement and able to make a move there. So Briar Bauman, kind of a coming-of-age story. He's won races before, but this would be the first time he's the points leader if he can hold on and win this one. Oh, and Vanderkoy has now made the move on Bronson Bauman. So Jared Vanderkoy, look at this, had to use a provisional to get the last spot, 17th on the grid. And from there, he has climbed all the way up into 4th.
This is how you fight for championships. It's taking your bad nights and making the best of it. Jared Vanderkoy doing that right now.
And maybe some good progress here with the Harley team. They've got to be happy with the speed that he is showing. We'll see how it works. We're going to be on a totally different type of track. The Oval in Atlanta will be our next event. 1 lap to go for Briar Bauman to soak it in. He will be the man to beat when we go to Atlanta because he is en route to winning the Daytona TT in dominant fashion. Here's Vanderkoy. What a ride for him, showing you can make passes on this revamped Daytona track from last to 4th. Briar Bauman. He dates Shayna Texter, so he is also the benefactor of all that training she did with the motocross trainer. Oh, that's Brian Smith out of the race on the last lap. Briar Bauman wins here at Daytona. And as I was saying, he got to train with Alden Baker as well since his girlfriend Shayna Texter was down there. They did a lot of work on the TTs, and clearly that has paid off tonight with a big margin of victory, and you can tell he's happy about it. Wiles always good in the TT, solid in 2nd. And Jake Johnson on the Yamaha in 3rd ahead of Vanderkoy in the Harley. Bronson Bauman ends up in 5th. Jeffrey Carver 10th. He'll be one to watch as we get back to the ovals after this. Brian Smith 15th and Mies 17th. Motul move of the race. The brother on brother pass.
Briar behind his brother Bronson. Bronson almost goes down, gets wide in the last corner. Briar gets under him, gets the drive, never looks back for the victory.
Yep, that's the last they would see of the 14. He checked out, and now he'll check in with Kristen on the podium.
Briar Bauman kicking off the 2019 season with a win in Daytona. Now, Briar, you've traditionally been so good at the miles and the half miles and the ovals. Now also the TTs are being added to your resume. Tonight, what about this track kind of falls into your wheelhouse?
Like I said earlier, my main goal this offseason was just to become a better motorcycle rider. I think that it really showed tonight too. Thanks to all the boys that came out and motored with me. It pushed me and made me stronger, and yeah, I think just being a better motorcycle rider is what it's about tonight.
In the chicane, the bumps started to surface mid-race. What were you able to find there, and how were you able to kind of stay smooth in such a challenging section?
Yeah, my Indian motorcycle backed by Progressive was incredible. I mean, my mechanic Dave and Michelle and the whole crew did such a good job on this bike. I mean, it's a dream come true to be a part of the factory, and now to get to ride it and be as good as I'd always dreamed of growing up as a kid. So yeah, all of it goes out to them for building the bike and bringing it and wanting it as bad as I do. I put the work in during the week, and it means more to me than anyone could ever know that they want to win as bad as I do.
Oh, and you get the opportunity. The question is, can you do the most with it? So far, Briar Bauman has done it. He takes the factory Indian ride to the top spot. We'll be right back. American Flat Track on NBCSN is brought to you by Vance & Hines, the presenting sponsor of AFT Twins. By Roof Systems of Dallas, Texas, the entitlement sponsor of AFT Singles. And by American Flat Tracker Clothing Company. Find your groove at AmericanFlatTracker.com. Sunoco go the distance towards standings. Well, after one event, obviously it's close as we total up all the miles everyone completed. But we'll give the edge to Briar Bauman because he's your points leader now after winning tonight's race. Let's send it down to Kristen with 2nd.
Henry, as you were walking into victory lane tonight, I actually saw you shaking your head. You were resistant to congratulations. What makes celebrating 2nd so hard?
Well, you know, we really just had our minds set on winning. You know, the whole team, Brian Bigelow worked so hard on these bikes tonight. You know, Bandit Industries Indians were really running good, and we knew we had the speed. We had a little bit of tough going early on. I just didn't get the start, and I watched Briar sneaking away, and I thought, okay, I need to make a pass right now, and maybe I can make a race out of it. But, you know, you always, you know, for me, I want to win these TTs, especially the Daytona TT.
One of these years, Henry's going to win this race. He's always up on the box. Jake Johnson, great job of the Estenson Yamaha. He finishes in 3rd. He was in the fight all night. Now he's on the podium.
Jake Johnson rounding out the podium here in Daytona. Now, Jake, I noticed when you pulled your bike into victory lane, you and your team were actually talking about the shifter. It looked like it was bent.
Yeah, about halfway through the race, ended up catching one of those little dirt mounds, you know, down in like the final corner there, and about bent the shift around backwards. So it made it tough the last half of the race. Just tried to bring it home. It made it tough, but we were able to do it.
We're going to change it up completely, going back to the Dirt Oval. Atlanta will be our next event at 4:30 on March 31st. Watch it right here on NBCSN. What'd you think, AJ Allmendinger? Want to come back and do more?
Fantastic racing. It's going to be a great series between the singles and twins. I'm going to really enjoy it. It's going to be fun.
All right, it's going to be awesome. And now Briar Bauman is going to have to deal with a whole new sort of pressure. He's become the man to beat. And AFT twins in the singles class, Jesse Janisch on top here at Daytona. For AJ Allmendinger and Kristen Beed, I'm Jason Wygant saying thanks for watching our AFT opener from Daytona.